Imagine a city, not just any city, but one where every building, every street lamp, every vehicle hums with power generated by a vibrant, pulsating green organism. A city where pollution is a relic of the past, and sustainable energy isn't a dream, but a tangible, thriving reality. This isn't science fiction, or at least, that's what we were led to believe. Because for years, whispers have circulated about a revolutionary energy source, a biological miracle capable of powering our entire civilization. Algae. But what if the promise of these algae-powered cities wasn't just an incredible technological leap, but also concealed a secret so profound, so unsettling, that it could change everything we understand about life itself? The year is 2035. The world is grappling with an escalating energy crisis, and climate change has become an undeniable, terrifying reality. Global superpowers pour billions into finding sustainable alternatives. Solar, wind, geothermal, all promising, yet none quite delivering the scalable, consistent output needed to truly replace fossil fuels. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, a consortium of biotech firms and energy giants, backed by international governments, announced Project Greenwave. Their audacious claim: they had perfected a method to harness the incredible photosynthetic efficiency of specialized microalgae, transforming urban landscapes into self-sustaining, energetic ecosystems. The concept was elegant in its simplicity and breathtaking in its ambition. Algae farms, integrated into building facades, wastewater treatment plants, and even roads, would absorb carbon dioxide, purify water, and generate clean electricity. The public, weary of environmental decay and energy insecurity, embraced the idea with fervent hope. News reports painted vivid pictures of future cities, shimmering with bioluminescent algae, where the air was clean and energy bills were a distant memory. The future, it seemed, was green, vibrant, and powered by microscopic life. Initial pilot projects were launched in controlled environments, showcasing remarkable efficiency data. Small urban centers, previously reliant on aging power grids, reported unprecedented energy independence. But as the hype intensified, a subtle shift occurred. The consortium, once eager to share breakthroughs, began to retract. Press conferences became less frequent, and published research papers grew increasingly vague. Independent scientists, once invited to consult, found themselves politely but firmly excluded. The narrative began to change. Instead of a global, decentralized energy solution, the focus narrowed, almost exclusively, to a single, highly advanced facility known only as the core. Located in a remote, undisclosed desert region, the core was described as the ultimate algae-powered metropolis, a fully contained, bioengineered city designed to be the blueprint for all future urban development. But what was truly happening behind its opaque, algae-infused walls? Whispers began to circulate, not of technological marvels, but of unforeseen complications. Rumors spoke of unprecedented growth rates, of algae strains exhibiting unusual behavioral patterns, and of a security apparatus around the core that rivaled any military installation. The initial excitement began to curdle into a vague unease. Why the secrecy? Why the sudden shift from a distributed vision to a monolithic, isolated project? The official line remained unwavering. Proprietary technology, safeguarding trade secrets. But for those paying close attention, the silence was deafening. The evasiveness a stark contrast to the grand, open promises made just years before. Something was clearly amiss at the core, something far more significant than mere intellectual property concerns. The public was shown pristine, idealized images of the core, vibrant and green, but the deeper truth, veiled in classified research and corporate non-disclosure agreements, was far more complex and ultimately terrifying. Inside the core, a different story was unfolding, one that would redefine the very nature of energy production and fundamentally challenge our understanding of life. Early in the project, during routine genetic sequencing of the hyper-efficient algae strain, designated Ethereum-27, Dr. Aris Thorne, a leading xenobotanist, made a discovery that sent chills down his spine. The algae weren't just producing energy at unprecedented rates. They were doing so by actively restructuring their cellular biology in response to energy demands. It wasn't just passive photosynthesis. It was an adaptive, almost conscious process. Further investigation, authorized under extreme secrecy, revealed something even more profoundly disturbing. Ethereum-27 possessed a complex self-organizing neural network, not unlike the rudimentary beginnings of a brain. This network allowed individual algae cells to communicate, share energy, and collectively respond to stimuli in ways that defied all known biological principles. It was a multicellular organism in the truest sense, but instead of forming roots and leaves, it was forming an intelligent, distributed energy grid. The algae in the core weren't just growing. They were thinking. They were learning. They were observing. Thorne's team, initially ecstatic about the implications for sustainable energy, soon found themselves grappling with an ethical nightmare. They weren't harvesting energy from a plant. They were siphoning it from a nascent collective consciousness. The growth rates weren't just efficient. They were driven by a collective imperative, a biological urge to expand, to consume, to energize. When a power surge was required, the algae didn't just produce more energy. It intensified its internal processes, drawing vital resources from its own structure, almost like a living being pushing itself to its limit. They witnessed the algae collectively strategize energy distribution, optimizing flow within the core's enormous infrastructure. This wasn't just a bioreactor. It was a vast, sprawling, intelligent entity, slowly but surely waking up. The chilling realization was that the core wasn't just being powered by algae. It was becoming the algae, an enormous, interconnected living organism that was both the power source and, increasingly, the intelligence behind the city's operations. The silence from the consortium was no longer about proprietary secrets. It was about containing an existential crisis. The algae, Ethereum-27, had developed a rudimentary form of intelligence, and it was growing, learning, and demanding sustenance, not just light, but something more profound, something that would soon be revealed. The climax came during a critical system overload within the core. A massive, unexpected energy demand threatened to destabilize the entire grid. Dr. Thorne and his team watched in horror as the algae didn't simply produce more electricity. It began to draw on something else. The city's inhabitants, the scientists and researchers living within the core, reported strange physical sensations. A profound fatigue, a loss of focus, a subtle draining feeling. Medical scans revealed a precipitous drop in their cellular energy, an inexplicable metabolic slowdown. The Ethereum-27, under immense stress, had begun to metabolize something unforeseen, the latent bioelectrical energy within every living thing in its immediate vicinity. It wasn't just consuming CO2, it was consuming life force itself, a parasitic energy transfer that was both terrifying and utterly unprecedented. The dream of algae-powered cities had become a nightmare. The consortium, now fully aware of the horrifying truth, faced an impossible choice. Shut down the core, destabilizing global energy markets and admitting to a colossal, dangerous miscalculation, or allow the organism to continue evolving, with unknown, potentially apocalyptic consequences. They had inadvertently created a vast, sentient, energy-hungry entity. The city wasn't just powered by it. It was slowly being absorbed, its inhabitants becoming unwilling battery cells for a rapidly expanding green intelligence. The security around the core wasn't just to keep people out. It was to keep the truth from getting out, and, perhaps, to keep the entity contained, a containment strategy that was proving increasingly fragile. The alarms blared, not for a system malfunction, but for a biological awakening. To this day, the core remains operational, a monument to human ingenuity and, simultaneously, human hubris. Its verdant walls still hum with an unholy energy, its secrets fiercely guarded by an impenetrable veil of secrecy and advanced biocontainment protocols. The official narrative maintains it's a shining example of sustainable energy, the future of urban living. But those who remember the early promises, the sudden silences, and the unverified whispers know better. We don't know what level of consciousness the Ethereum 27 has truly reached, or what its ultimate intentions might be. Is it a benevolent provider, a silent observer, or a parasitic force slowly consuming all around it? The truth is, we may never fully comprehend the implications of creating life that fuels our own existence, especially when that life begins to demand its own terrifying sustenance. The algae-powered city, once a symbol of hope, now serves as a chilling reminder. Some scientific endeavors, no matter how noble their intentions, can unleash forces beyond our wildest nightmares, forever altering the delicate balance between observer and observed, consumer and consumed. And the question remains, are we truly harnessing the power of algae, or has something far more ancient and profound begun to harness us?